Hello, Kathy.
Hello there.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Nice to hear, Kathy. I am very happy to talk to you about this topic. Uh, I know that last Thursday we have an technical inconvenience, and you were able to manage it the best you can. So that's why we proclaim this a part two: how to avoid negative thinking. Right. So let's talk about that because I think um, negative thinking in the times in which we live um, is very important to see how we can deal about it, right? And and it's so critical for us human beings to be able to control. I wouldn't say it's the right word is to control, but definitely to manage our thoughts, right? Because our thoughts are going to convert into reality, right? And so that's why negative thinking is so crucial for us to understand why we should avoid negative thinking at all costs, right? Um, so saying that, when we start um, having negative thinking, we basically are generating some sort of thoughts. Our thoughts are connected to our emotions, and our emotions are connected to a frequency level that will alter your body, and it will come materialize into your health if this is a negative thinking, or if this is a positive thinking, it will contribute to your health. Not only that, but eventually your thought can materialize into a good outcome just because you are thinking about it in a positive way, not
Mhm.
negative way. So I'm talking about from the uh, technological standpoint because it has been proven scientifically that emotions can be measured, right? Good emotion has high frequencies. I'm going to show a slide, while we are discussing this and we have a conversation. This is all about having a nice conversation, right?
Right.
Um, and so I know you are more into the mystic, and so I want you to ask you, um, what do you do? What you can do when you start having a negative thinking? When that happens to you personally, and how you deal with it?
Well, in the old days, I was known as a drama queen. I would freak out. I would go crazy. I would think of every negative possible outcome for any situation that occurred. And then over time, usually when I was just worn out trying to solve a problem, and I just took a deep breath and said, "Okay, Lord, it's in your hands," the answer would come to me. So, what I have learned is negative thoughts come when people feel like they're out of control, because so many times we all face challenges. And so many times when people face a challenge, I attribute this to something similar than a pinball machine. Do you know what a pinball machine is?
Yeah. Hmm.
Game you play where you pull back and hit the ball and it ping, 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 ping. Well, this is the way a lot of people react when something happens. Boing, oh, I just had a car accident. Boing, I wonder what's going to happen. Boing, I wonder if the cops are going to give me a ticket. Boing, how much is it going to cost to get it fixed? And so they are banging up against all of these issues that are pouring out of their mind, and they have no idea that those thoughts are creating their reality. So, what I have learned to do is when some challenge does happen, first thing I do is take a deep breath. You talk about how it affects the body. Your heart can actually start beating very quickly. A lot of people get dizzy in the head. Some people pass out. But if you take a deep breath and let it out and just say, I know there's a solution to this problem, it always comes to me now. So I have learned over the years not to freak out. So my negative thinking, I still think negative sometimes, but because I know how powerful my thoughts are, you know what I do when I have a negative thought? I hit the space between my eyes and I say, cancel clear. Like your computer, you can cancel clear.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, right? This we are assuming that there are not many people that are into the spiritual realm, and you and I are curious about it, right? So let's break this down. Please define what a thought is. What do you think a thought is, and how a thought is generated?
A thought. Hmm. How would you describe generating a thought? Hmm. Well, I guess I keep thinking of the cartoons where they have the little cloud over the head with the words written into them. That's what I see as a thought.
Okay,
My little cloud with the words written into it. This is my thought.
that's your thought. Okay,
What about
okay.
you?
I think a thought is driven by information that you take. I am talking as you know me. I am a nerd, right? It's all about, for me,
Right.
everything is about information, right?
Uh-huh.
Data, right? This is what I think a thought is. Information came to you. Information is just information, right? Doesn't have a good or bad connotation,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just information comes to your brain, and then there is a process of the information, and the process of the information is going to be driven by certain emotions. It could be angry, it could be happy, it could be neutral, right? So you
Fearful,
process exactly. You
fearful.
process exactly. You process the information, right? And based on the stage of your emotion, you're going to define a good thinking or a good thought, right? Because you're going to provide a meaning to that information that I have received. Let's put it this way. I say, Kathy, um, you look skinny, right? The information is skinny go to your head. Now it's your responsibility to take the skinny word that I said to you in a positive connotation or negative connotation, right? You will say, he's offending me. He told me I am skinny. So that what he means by skinny, right?
It
Or
depends on your state of mind, Raul. When I was 14 years old in high school and they called me skinny, I went home crying. And now that I'm 74 years old and you tell me I'm skinny, I'm going to say, really? You think so?
exactly. So so that's why I believe that when that's why I want to break this down, because sometimes I see a lot of spiritual coaches, business coaches that talk a very high deep level, and they don't break down the things like your thoughts create reality. Okay, what is a thought? How is a thought is created, right? And then you break down the concepts, and then it start having a meaning to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, a thought is basically the information that you collect through your senses. How many senses do we have? We had five, but we had more. We are not going to talk about that topic now. But from our conscious mind, conscious, we are awake. We can look. We can have eyes. We can hear. We can smell. We can taste, etc. We can touch, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we collect the information. by collecting the information is not enough until you process with your mind. You process with your actually with your brain. Your mind is an upper scale. Is an upper scale that is a little bit uh, far of your brain. Your brain is a collection of networks, right, that are going to be processing the information. But then there is a level that start like crossing like a bridge where your emotions reside. The emotions are circle,
Uh-huh.
and the emotion circle is going to give the reality of that information that you had processed, right? So when you create a negative thought, you are creating already a reality that is going to be a bad reality because you just sort of define that that's how it's going to be, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I find it very fascinating when you start to break things down. So for our discussion, I'm going to share this, which I think is so awesome, right? So when we were talking about information, you collect information through your senses,
Mm-hmm.
go to your brain, and then you have different states of emotions, right? That
Mm-hmm.
go from shame, guilt, apathy, fear, and then you collect the information. Your brain processes the information, and if this is a negative thinking, guess what? The negative thinking is going to be tied to one of the emotions on the back:
That's right.
guilt, apathy, fear, desire, anger, pride. So you're gonna correlate a bad that information that you process with your brain, you're gonna tie it to an emotion, and that's the negative thought. That's the consequence, right? And
Yeah.
then it, the way you go in the upper levels, let's say joy, then you receive the information and you have joy about that information. You start placing the joy component, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
and guess what? This is so awesome because with this you can explain what when you cross the bridge, which is the emotions, is what we are calling soul, because the soul is basically entitled to those emotions, right? Like love, because you cannot touch love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you touch joy? You can.
Nope.
So that's when we talk
Feel.
about
You
conscious.
don't touch, you feel.
Exactly. That is when you cross the bridge to the consciousness now. A consciousness talks about all of those emotions, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
why the negative thinking and the good thinking is tied to a level of consciousness, which is tagged with an emotion, and that emotion is tied to a high frequency. So
Mm-hmm.
all of those are frequencies, and guess what? All of those have color codes. And so I was so intrigued. Now this is becoming more technological driven. This is actually Dr. Joe Dispenza, who was able to measure using sensors in your brain and also a sensor in your heart when you have change guilt, what this means in the frequency levels of your brain, right? And what he said is that when you feel love, you see the waves are going very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And if the wave goes very fast, then you carry more information into that. So that's why when people love and when people do things with love, most of the time, all of what they think is going to materialize in good things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have low emotion, then because the information is going very slow, most of the time that's not going to happen. Like fear,
That's right.
right? So and So for the people that likes more about, and this is, I am so sorry because when I get passionate about this topic, I'm just trying to use a lot of the new physics are doing researches. We had PhDs and all of, they are putting sensors in your body and they're trying to measure things. Well, they define like, high frequencies are gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta, right? So this is sort of, where your emotions fix. And this is a matter of another podcast. We are not going to go into the details about that yet, but this is something that I really would like to develop with you, Kathy, because I think that's also awesome. Right? Because then you sort of compare your human brain wave with the different emotions, and you start like understanding why people should do meditation, what happened when you sleep, etc., etc., etc. So I'm sorry, I think I deviate deviate the conversation, but I think was proper to to sort of put it in a way that when we talk about negative thinking, we understand why we really need to avoid negative thinking. Would you agree?
Well, absolutely. I mean, look at it this way. Let's say, for example, because your thoughts are things, thoughts create. Every thought and every word is creating that thing. Let's say you oversleep and you wake up and you look at the clock and you yell, "Oh my gosh, I've overslept. I'm going to be late for work." Well, next thing you know, you're shaving and you nick yourself. You put on your shirt and a button pops off. You take out the trash, the cat runs out, and you have to track them down to bring them in. And then you're leaving and you get a phone call that you have to take, but you don't talk on the phone while you're driving. And you have no idea that you just created that entire situation. Whereas, the emotions that we put forth, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to be late," you create it instead of saying, "I have more than enough time to get to work." And you do, you get there on time. And people don't realize how very, very powerful their thoughts are and the emotions that go with the thoughts. If they affect your physical body, your negative thinking can make you sick. And that is something that a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah. So let's address that one because I think that's a very interesting one. Um, I have witnessed people that cures themselves from cancer, and the way how they were able to cure themselves was through positive thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And meditation.
Yep.
Right? They meditate, they put away all toxicities regarding negative thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so my question to you will be, what will be the recommendation for people that are so negative, that to people that are always blaming themselves because they fail in something? Um, what will be the right way to help them to stop thinking negatively? And I know that life throws you stuff. Like, if I can tell you so many things that I am dealing with, which and I still keep going forward, right? So, but let's say that we had friends that are listening to us, and they say, "Hey, just give me an advice how I can avoid to think negatively." What would you recommend?
First thing I would recommend they do is close their eyes and think back over their childhood, because in 99% of the cases, the negative thinking started from childhood. And think about what they were told by their parents or what they were told by their siblings or people in school with them, their relatives, the church, the coaches, everything. Because most of what I have seen is negative thinking. It starts in childhood. And if you can identify where it started, in 98% of the cases, when I work with people through my, if they can identify where the negative thing started, and I talk to them about the person that told them this, I say they're the one with the problem. You know, they're taking their problem out on you. So now that you understand that, and you know it had nothing to do with you, you're not a bad person, you're not stupid, you're not dumb, you're not ugly, you're not athletic. You can let go of that. You can release that person, forgive them, and let it go. And then you can start thinking, when a thought comes into your head that's negative, oh, that's what so-and-so told me, tick them off. And little by little, when you do this, when you become aware of your negative thoughts and where they are coming from, the programming you received, one by one, you can tick off the negative incidents in your childhood that caused you to think negative. And you know what else you can do? Put a rubber band around your wrist. Every time you think or say negative, pop the rubber band. Now, a dear friend told me that when I used to be a negaholic, and it hurt so much that it made me aware just how much negative thinking I was doing. And that was probably the best thing I could have learned, was wear a rubber band and pop it every time you think or say something negative. And no matter what negative thought you are thinking, turn it around. Let's say, for example, somebody said, I don't know what I'm going to do about a job. I can't find a job. Is that negative? Absolutely. How do you change that statement to positive? I know there's a job for me, and I thank you, universe, for leading me to this perfect job. See the difference?
Yeah.
When you think or say negative in your mind, turn it around to make it something positive.
No, I agree. When you say cut the tie to the past, yeah, sometimes when we think negatively, it's because we are taking the information, interpreting, putting a negative emotion from the past that has been stored in your subconscious mind, not in your conscious mind, and then you get that meaning, and then you create that negative thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Because one of the things that we should do in order to cleanse the conscious mind, what you just said, right? Your consciousness is like another bank of information with emotions that are stored there, that take it for granted that that's how it is. And I think what I will suggest the people that are listening to us is that whether they go to a therapist or they do any personal development program, to face that, to see when, like you say, in that childhood, they have that bad experience that they believe is real, and they carry through the years that that's how it is. Oh, I am a failure because, when I was 5 years old, I couldn't answer a math test, and or the teacher asked me a question and everybody was laughing at me, and therefore I feel that I am stupid.
Yep.
Right. Or maybe you saw your father cheating on your mom when you were a kid, and you witnessed that situation, and then you think that everybody is unloyal.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a story in your subconscious mind. So then when you are 35, 40, 50 years old, you think that everybody is not loyal to you.
I agree, Nat Raoul, and I'll tell you an example of a man who came to me because he could never get promoted. No matter how many times he tried to submit his resume and move up, he couldn't get promoted. And when I told him, let's go back to your childhood, he kept insisting that he had a perfect childhood. And I kept digging and digging. And finally I said, well, how about sports? How were you in sports? And all of a sudden his eyes got this big because he was a very small, slight built man. And he said all the kids liked him, but they never picked him to be on their team because of his slight build. And I said, so you don't think you're a team player? Therefore, why would you be promoted to oversee a team? So when we were able to work through that, and then I asked him, what are your skills now? What are the skills required for the promotion? You're doing it already. So when he eliminated that block that he wasn't a team player and he saw he had the skills, he went for that promotion and he got the promotion after languishing for 10 years in that company and never getting promoted. This is how these negative thoughts from our childhood affect us today.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So, practical recommendation for people that see us here: cleanse your subconscious mind. I will say that's the first one.
Yeah.
In order to cleanse your subconscious mind, you have to face what happened in the past.
Yes.
And you need to talk it, talk it over with your therapist, or you can do like a personal development program. I did Landmark. That helped me a lot. But there are so many others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that would be an advice number one. And advice number two, if you are someone that is continually overthinking, right? The overthinking. What I suggest is that you start a meditation program, and there are so many: Mind Valley, Vipassana, or any other practice that will allow you to be in a in a state of mind that you are silent. It's like you don't think about anything. You just breathe and sort of cleanse also your subconscious mind and your mind, right? So that would be the number two. And the number three, which is going to the spiritual realm, is to do contemplation, right? That goes in line with praying, right? Because that is like your heart is connected, with a source. We call it God, right? Or any a spiritual belief that you have. So it calms you also as well. If you are able to do that three, right? Your personal development, subconscious mind training, how to breathe, how to meditate, the second one, right? And the third one that I just talked about, I think you will be in good shape to keep going with, um, uh, avoiding negative thinking, changing to positive thinking, right? And for me,
Raul, it was very, very difficult for me to meditate. My mind was going at 1,000,000 miles a second. And what worked for me was to think about everything I had to be grateful for. And the more I thought about what I was grateful for, the calmer my mind became. It was amazing, really. And now that's what I do every morning when I wake up. I think of everything I have to be grateful for. And, you talk about that chart that you just showed. Gratitude is right up there at the top. When you talk about peace, when you think of everything you're grateful for, it gives you the sense of peace. And look where it goes on the chart, way up to the top.
Yeah.
And I always say gratitude is everything. And with that, people are able, I've taught a lot of people how to do that. And then they're able to just get quiet and meditate.
Yeah, yeah. We are going to talk about this material. This comes from Joe Dispenza and others researchers that talk about emotions, how frequency emotions, how they help us to achieve things that we never thought was possible. And I am so into that as well. All right. So we extend our 30 minutes podcast, Kathy. I think this was very sharp. And I think what we're going to do going forward is place questions, things that people face in a day to day and they really want to deal, how to say, how to manage it.
Yeah.
And let's put some theory, let's work that out from different angles so that it helps. Uh, any last words? That was awesome.
Well, as far as questions are concerned, I would be thinking of things like, how do I deal with an obnoxious boss? Or how do I get the perfect job that I has suited me? Or how do I get this guy to like me, a loving relationship, or something like that? Things that are important in their life, and usually, or their health issues, loving relationship issues, job issues. How do I make enough money to pay my bills? So it's money issues,
Yeah, I agree.
anything like that that people have questions about. We'll be happy to share with them what our experience has been.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm thinking about doing like a poll, like, hey guys, what would you like to for us to talk about? They can tell us,
Absolutely.
and I think that would be awesome because that it's coming from the community, right? So,
Yeah.
all right. So we have two possibilities. One we choose the topic, the other will be they choose the topic, and we can go from there.
Absolutely.
All right, Kathy, last words before we close this session.
Just remember how much you are loved and that you matter. That is the most important thing for people to realize.
I agree. The power of love, appreciation,
Yeah,
right? So everybody, uh, big hug. Remember that we love you. Take
that's
care.
right. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.